Iran approves gender apartheid bill, 10 years in prison for not wearing the hijab. In a contentious move, Iran's parliament has greenlit a bill that may imprison women for up to a decade if they breach the nation's mandatory hijab regulations. Beyond the toughened penalties for dress code violations, this law also targets individuals who mock or promote nudity in both virtual and physical spaces. Drawing international concern, UN human rights experts labeled it, quote, tantamount to gender apartheid, asserting a disturbing aim of forcing Iranian women into, quote, total submission. Highlighting the gravity of the situation, Iranian human rights lawyer Hossein Raeesi stated, Iran has already was already an open prison for its women. This bill merely amplifies the tyranny they face daily. The bill's approval coincides with the first anniversary of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini's death in custody, a young woman detained for allegedly wearing the hijab incorrectly, sparking widespread protests and global outcry. Um, so, Armin, this is obviously a big deal. This so called hijab and chastity bill was very contentious, and most people aren't surprised that it passed the parliament. But I saw some Iranian commentators basically saying that the regime is taking a note from the Taliban and basically attempting to completely erase women from the public space. What do you think about that analysis or commentary?
Yeah, no, they don't have the power to do that. It's it's too hard to do this in Iran. Iran is not like Afghanistan. It has moved so past that. Like it's this is not something the government of Iran is able to do. Like put the women of Iran are such a major part of society that there is no way that you could do to women in Iran what the Taliban has done in Afghanistan. Like it's impossible. Like it's so no, I don't think so. Um, Also, by the way, this does like seem like a step backwards, but it only looks like a step backwards if you focus on what's happening in the short term. If you zoom out a little bit, then this is not a step backwards. Um, so it's like it goes up and down, right? It's not like a linear line. But every time we go down, if you look at it, so if you look at 2 years back, it looks like we went backwards, right? But just if you look at your window of observation, just make it 5 years, you always see that you have come a lot forward to what the standards were 5 years ago, right? So this is just a give and take, and this is part of a them taking from their turn, and they actually the government of Iran is forced to loosen up these laws, um, you know, over 5-year horizons, because but the reason why they are sometimes they need to take a step back is because there are too many religious radicals in Iran that have a lot of influence in the government, but the government itself understands that for its own survival it needs to at some point loosen these laws. Like it cannot keep this up forever. But so the trick is to loosen up the laws and get the religious radicals to cry about it, and then toughen up the laws, but toughen up the laws not not to the point that goes all the way back to how it was before. So this is they actually, I think they are playing this game pretty well, because it does shut up the radicals. So for example, these once the master revolution, for example, happened, these a lot of these religious radicals were out there asking for executions. They were asking for hundreds of executions. They had
They were asking for
hashtag
open
execute.
murder in the street. Let's be clear.
Yes, yes, and they were asking for hundreds of thousands of prisoners political prisoners to all of them, for all of them to be executed, right? But then the government has to, the government is afraid of this. The government is being pressured from two sides, from the liberals, the liberal people who are against the government, and they're huge in number, the secular and liberal people who are huge in number and they're against the government, but also the religious radicals who are fewer in number. They're a small percentage of the country, but they are a lot more radical and they're a lot more influential, and they on the government as well. So it's basically stuck between a rock and a hard place. So when, for example, when it came to the executions, the government knew it had to, throw some meat at these lions to just to get them quiet, right? It executed one person to see if they will if it will satisfy them, and then a second one, and then a third one, and then a fourth one, right? And then they were happy, like they were so bloodthirsty, like you could see how joyful they were with the executions. But after four they stopped. So they were asking for hundreds and thousands of execution, and after four you could see that that desire, that anger for why the government is not killing the political prisoners had died down a little bit. So the government is realizing that whenever they loosen up the laws, when the religious radicals get angry, they have to toughen up again, but they don't need to go, because they have like fish memory, right? A lot of them don't remember that when you toughen up the laws, you're not toughening it up all the way back to where it was, and they just get happy. This will satisfy them. So this is a game that the government is playing, going up and down with these laws. But overall, the trend is upwards. But this is not out of the kindness of the government. This is because, as I mentioned, the people's power are increasing relative to the government, right? So the people are. It used to be that people thought that they could reform this government, could negotiate with this government. Now everybody recognizes that there's only one language that this government understands, and that's the language of intimidation, force,
Hmm.
and threats, right?
Hmm.
So that's what's working for people. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense, and I think you're very apt in expressing it that way. Um,
Right.
I have some amazing news. Sakai offered to to match the next donation to the fundraiser, thereby doubling the
Ooh,
impact of next person's contribution. And Kenny gave $50, which means that the donation was
wow.
doubled to $100. Look at how close you guys we are to meeting our goal. That's incredible. So thank you so much to Sakai
What?
and Kenny. Yeah. Sakai and then gave a super chat to us to tell us that about Kenny's donation and about his doubling. So he said, "Thank you, Kenny Demeter, for donating 5152. I have doubled your donation amount. Long live the Atheist Republic." Well, thank you so much to both of you guys. If you guys find value in our programming and you support our community and you love to see what our community can do to other people and the community and comfort that it brings to them, you can help us continue our programming, and you can use this via the link in the top of the description and also the link that I just put in our live chat. And I also want to answer a question from Kenny. He's saying, which method of support do you prefer, PayPal or Super Chat? I guess each take a cut, but which one leaves you with the most? The way that you could support us the most right now would be to sign up to be a $10 monthly donor. If we get 50 $10 monthly donors, then we will be able to bring back our news writers and our news programming to the full quality that you guys are accustomed to. And this will help us stabilize our finances and really make sure our operations are running smoothly and consistently. So I think that is the best way that people can help support us. Some people might be like, "Oh, I want to give more, blah blah blah." You're totally welcome to give more, but if we had 50 $10 monthly donors, then this is actually one of the best ways to help us as an organization in the long term. But thank you, Kenny, for your donation, and thank you for asking. This really does help us a lot. Um,
We got
And
to
sorry, go ahead.
we're getting close to our, I can't believe it. This has been 3 days. We're
I
getting
know.
to our goal. Like
Amazing.
it's almost there. It's almost there. I can't believe this. This is crazy. Okay, but go on.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's
Thank
just
you guys.
incredible to see the support that we've been given.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really it means so much to us, and it means a lot to everyone who comes here every week.
Do you know who makes the most amazing, gorgeous, and other adjectives that I can't use here on YouTube, blasphemous art ever? We do! And for some reason, we are giving it away for free. Download them now using the link in the description before we change our mind.